The Nightbeat starts right now.
Staffing is lacking. Yeah, tourism is way up, almost back to where it was before the pandemic. But staff numbers, not so much. We're going to show you how businesses are trying to keep up.
Years from now, the east side that we know today could be drastically changed. At least that's part of the plan. We spoke to people in the area about how they feel about that idea.
Also, keeping people in their homes. That's what a local organization is trying to do. What you need to know if you need assistance.
But first tonight, a former SAPD officer facing charges this evening in connection with kneeling on the neck of a suspect during an arrest back in 2019.
Michael Brewer is charged with unlawful restraint in connection with the arrest of Matthew Garza. Preliminary information provided by SAPD stated that Garza, quote, did not comply with orders and acted aggressively.
Garza filed a complaint about that arrest. In a review, investigators found Brewer's body cam footage showed him using what they described as, quote, unnecessary physical violence, end quote, by placing his left knee on Garza's head and neck as he was handcuffed. They also noted he, quote, provided no resistance, end quote. If convicted, Brewer faces 10 years in prison.
Now tonight, Bexar County deputies stopped what they say looks like the start to a human smuggling operation. And now a San Antonio couple is facing charges. Lydia and Alejandro Juarez are each facing 8 counts of theft to a vehicle. Deputies found trucks worth more than $400,000 at their property off of Silver Trail, along with 11 undocumented immigrants in a shed. Now, according to the arrest affidavit, the trucks didn't have bench seats, and that's something that investigators often see when trucks are being used for human smuggling. By the way, their bonds are set at $40,000 each.
We're learning more information about that tornado that left significant damage throughout Guadalupe County on Monday. Today, the National Weather Service confirmed it was an EF2 tornado. Estimated peak wind speeds 115 miles per hour. The tornado traveled 7.53 miles, passing through Kingsbury and Luling, just west of Seguin. Several trees snapped, even uprooted. And according to Guadalupe County officials, at least 24 properties were damaged. No injuries reported. A local state of disaster has been issued for this area for the next 6 days.
The San Antonio Housing Authority is trying to help families stay in their homes. As you know, the eviction moratorium ended almost a month ago. And at the time, 4,000 families owed almost $5 million in back rent, and the city's emergency housing assistance program also ended. Tonight, the Night Team's Lee Waldman explains how the city is now helping families avoid eviction.
The impending end to San Antonio Housing Authority's eviction moratorium sent families scrambling last month to apply for rental help through the city's emergency housing assistance program.
We're talking about poverty-struck communities where we reside that definitely need some type of assistance.
Focus and stay positive and pushing myself so I can get back to work so I don't have to keep looking for help out there.
Many applications coming in right before the March 1st deadline.
We still have about over 6,500 applications pending processing.
Overall, Deputy Director of Neighborhood and Housing Services Veronica Garcia says they've awarded almost $200 million in assistance.
We had over 106,000 people apply for emergency housing assistance program since April 2020, which is when that program opened.
While the city is not accepting more applications, they are providing assistance to those who have pending applications. Saha Chief Operating Officer Brandy Perez says they're being flexible with their families during this time and have not started evictions.
We are waiting to make sure that any amounts that they were getting assistance with are going to get posted to their accounts.
On top of continued work with the city, today Saha met with CPS Energy to begin utility assistance. Perez and Garcia say they're committed to helping families and keeping them in their homes.
Whatever we can do to help them get caught up, we're going to do it for our families.
Keeping people housed is a top priority. We know that the most affordable housing out there is the home that you're already in.
In April, Garcia says the city will be opening a housing assistance fund. It's a rebranding of the risk mitigation funds and will allow families who have fallen on hard times apply for financial assistance in a broad sense, whether that be covering moving costs or relocation security deposits, even something like job loss. Live on South Flores, Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Lee. Helping the East Side thrive. That's the plan. More than 100 East Side residents and business owners get a first glimpse at the City of San Antonio draft for the East Side Area Community Plan. The Night Team's Patty Santos shows us the hopes to provide growth and development in that area.
Improving crosswalks, public art, and bike lanes, just some of the proposals in the SA Tomorrow draft plan for the East Side.
So our goal is to first develop a future land use map for the area, and then also to highlight topics such as mobility, economic development, housing, amenities, and infrastructure.
This is one of 17 citywide comprehensive plans in the works. This one involves the area between Cherry Street to about the AT&T Center and from I-10 to Grayson Street. Tambra Satterfield, who's lived in the area for 17 years, is ready to see some action.
I feel like the East Side always gets left out. We have horrible sidewalks, which I've been in my home for 17 years, and we just got new sidewalks.
She's not quite sold on whether or not the improvements, development, and job creations will happen, but she worries about community displacement.
How's it going to affect our taxes when they bring all these new things in? Are they really going to have jobs? Is it going to be sufficient?
Ashley Luna lives less than a mile from downtown. She says in 7 years, she's seen positive changes and is ready for more.
I think it would kind of shift out some of the crime that you don't want to see.
The draft presented today has been in the works since 2017. Once it's finalized, it heads to council, likely by the end of the year.
We know that you can't have change right away, and so it's really working with our partners to help us implement the plan over time.
And the community can continue to provide input on that plan, which you can find on KSAT.com. You can provide that input until April 17th. Once council approves this by the end of the year, the next goal is to find funding for it. Some of that could be in the form of bonds. Reporting in the East Side, Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
We'll continue to follow it. Thank you, Patty. Well, San Antonio under a red flag warning to remind people that grass fires could happen with current weather conditions. That's exactly what happened on the south side today. 8 fire units responded to this scene near South Flores Street. Fire officials say the first started along a drainage ditch. Strong winds caused that fire to spread fast. Wasn't long before it was contained, though. The River Authority called in to make sure no pollutants actually got into the water. They gave the all clear.
A fire happening at what San Antonio Fire Department firefighters describe as one of the most dangerous structures in the city. That's now under investigation. Flames broke out just before 3 p.m. at a building near Commerce and Pine Streets. And when fire crews got there, flames were actually shooting out from the roof. And once they got inside, crews say that the wood floors were smoldering and had been like that for some time. Fire officials say that since the building is older and connected to several other buildings, that fire could have been a lot worse.
With just a few days left in Women's History Month, the YWCA, the site of a discussion on women's pay, among other things. Today, they hosted a wage and gender equity summit. The goal to provide salary negotiation training, promote equal pay for women, especially women of color. City leaders say despite women being in positions of power, more needs to be done.
Although they're at the board, they're at the seat of the table, guess what? They're not getting paid the same thing that men are. And so we need to teach our young girls to be able to advocate for themselves, to be able to find out where in the pay range they should be.
According to the U.S. Census, for the third quarter of 2020, women earned 30% less than men, with that pay gap increasing with older age groups.
Coming up, a Rey Feo sighting at a school. We're going to tell you what he's telling students they have to do to succeed.
And for the last 3 days, all eyes were on Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now it's time for the Senate to vote. We have the key moments from the third day of her confirmation hearing.
Also, the holidays are happening. Tourism is up. Business is booming. But we still don't have enough workers. How local businesses are working around that as events like Fiesta get closer. So here's something. Business is roaring in San Antonio. Leisure travel is booming. Business travel also coming back. But as more tourists come to our area, can the service industry keep up? It's a valid question. The Night Team's John Paul Barajas explains how this past holiday weekend and spring break was just a taste of what we can expect.
It's a welcome sight for business owners. Crowded streets full of locals and tourists spending money, and all those extra customers are hitting up local businesses. Problem is, many are still understaffed from the pandemic.
I feel like everyone's working a lot harder than we used to. More tables. It used to be 4 table sections, and now they're doing 6 table sections.
We were prepared. We were a little bit understaffed because right now finding staff is a little on the more difficult side.
Rosario's Mexican restaurant and Maddie McMurphy's Irish pub, which operates under the Mad Dogs restaurant group, are just a few of the places packed with people celebrating St. Patty's Day and spring break. And the business was great. Most places saw revenues they hadn't seen since before the pandemic, says Director of Operations for the Mad Dog Group, Aaron Selenkoff.
I think last week was the busiest week Mad Dog Restaurant Group's ever had.
And this is just the beginning. March Madness' Sweet 16 starts tomorrow and will be here through the weekend. And as that crowd leaves, Fiesta kicks off. And the Valero Texas Open PGA Tour starts the last day of March.
And we saw 65% hotel occupancy last year. This year, we're going to see occupancy when those numbers come in here in a couple of weeks. So they're going to be closer to 90%.
Richard Oliver with Travel SA explains this is great news for our economy, but keeping up will be difficult. Adding in 2019, 1 out of 7 working San Antonians worked in the hospitality or tourism industry, which is over 140,000 people. Saying simply, we just aren't there yet when it comes to restaffing. For example, Rosario's has about half the staff it's used to.
Super short on hostesses. I would really need some hostesses, some bartenders.
And as a group, we have about 250 employees right now. Probably need to get to closer to 300.
Now, all the businesses we spoke to said even though they don't have as many workers as they'd like, they're not letting that stop them. They're going to continue moving forward by trying to hire more people. In the meantime, just paying their current staff a little more in overtime while they handle all these large crowds that they've been seeing and expect to continue to see. On the Riverwalk, John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, John Paul. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson could be days away from being confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Today, she made sure not to forget the movements that came before her that paved the way for this historic moment.
From the legacy of all of the work of so many people that went into changing the laws in this country so that people like me could have an opportunity to be sitting here before you today.
Today was not an easy day, though. The justice nominee sparred with Republican senators on topics of abortion, past child pornography sentencing, and upcoming affirmative action cases involving her alma mater, Harvard. The committee will vote on whether to advance the nomination. A final vote could come as soon as Monday. Hundreds of jobs are coming to the San Antonio area with the opening of a new Navistar manufacturing plant. A ribbon cutting ceremony held at the location off Highway 281 today. They've been building trucks since January, but the plant director says they will now start to ramp up production. They're expected to hire about 650 employees. The plant will produce about 6 to 8 different trucks, which covers construction vehicles like cement mixers all the way to freight trucks. Fiesta 8 days away, which means Ray Feo sightings are going to increase. Today, he visited students at St. Anthony Catholic School. There were 3 things that the Ugly King wanted those students to know: the benefits of staying in school, why it's best to respect their parents and teachers, and how to be good citizens. Each year, Ray Feo raises money for the scholarship program to give back to the community. And that's a look at your Nightbeat News Flash.
And now we're going to take things outside. We're getting a live cam view here. Is this from our South Side City Cam?
I think it's actually our new cam.
Our new cam. I was like, okay,
yeah.
This looks very pretty here. Nice and sparkly. 57 degrees out there right now, Adam.
Yeah, and that new camera, it's at Crossroads, I-10 and 410.
Got it. Okay, Fredericksburg.
Yep, it's got a wicked good zoom on it, as you can tell. I love it.
Yeah.
Having some fun playing around with it and getting some time lapses of the clouds in the sky and sunset. So we're just fine tuning it. All right, we have a lot to talk about. Windy and dry tomorrow. That's significant, not just for comfort level, but also fire danger. We're going to get into that in a second. Another cold morning, unseasonably cold tomorrow. We're running about 10 to 15 degrees below average, but comfortable afternoon. So let's get right to it and talk right about the wind. You're not going to notice it much in the morning. Look at 5 a.m. Maybe some gusts up to 10 miles per hour. That's not bad. We progress through the morning and the wind starts to increase. 9 a.m. gusts closer to 15 miles per hour. And then here we go. Tomorrow afternoon, we're talking a steady northwesterly wind at 10 to 20, but gusts up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. This is 2 p.m. Widespread wind gusts 30 to 35 miles per hour. So another gusty day tomorrow, and it's that wind coming out of the northwest. Very dry air, the dry direction, and our ground is very dry. We'll have very low relative humidity. In turn, we have the red flag warning from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and that just means that fires can start very easily. I mean, even a discarded cigarette butt off into the grass can quickly turn into a big grass fire, and anything that does develop will spread rapidly because of the very dry air and the gusty winds. Has to do with the wind and, of course, that relative humidity dictated partially by the dew point. Relative humidities will be below 15% during the afternoon tomorrow. Of course, we could use some rain, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But let's get you prepared for tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now, mixtures of 40s and 50s. 46 in Kerrville, 55 Pleasanton, Kennedy 56, 53 Hondo, 59 officially in San Antonio, but you get to Stinson still 63. Helotes 57 and Bernie now at 48 degrees. But tomorrow morning, jacket weather. We'll dip down into the upper 30s. In a good portion of our area, especially north of Highway 90. Rio Medina 37, Canyon Lake 38, Comfort and Bernie 37 tomorrow morning, around within 410, about 40 degrees, I think. So downtown San Antonio, about 40 degrees. But by the afternoon, you can shed the jacket. We'll have short sleeves, a lot of sunshine, well into the 70s for high temperatures. We'll say about 75 in San Antonio, but obviously warmer a little south of town. And then afternoon temperatures get back into the 80s Friday through the weekend and even into next week. Now let's talk about our rain chances. We had some clouds move overhead from the west today, just a little extra energy on the back end of this big storm complex that brought us our severe weather on Monday. Some energy on the backside. If we had enough moisture in our air, it could have kick-started some showers for us. We just didn't have any moisture. It was too dry, so we just got a few clouds, and that was it. Upper level high, big blue H, that's going to be influencing our weather for several more days until next Tuesday, and that's when we have a slight chance of a stray shower and storm. But I want to show you the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, and this is for April, May, and June. And notice how it has Texas and our part of Texas in the category that odds would favor below average precipitation. We're coming off a La Nina winter. Usually the La Nina springs have above average severe thunderstorms, but below average actual widespread precipitation and below average meaningful rainfall. But usually we see a little uptake in those rogue severe storms. So there'll still be some activity out there likely, but right now we're not expecting anything widespread. Sunny tomorrow again, mid 70s for the high temperature. Still a few more cool mornings all the way through Saturday, and then a little bit more moisture in the air by next week.
It's a good looking forecast. Just wish there was maybe a little more rain in there.
Just one day.
Just one day. Yeah. Thanks, Adam.
All right. Thank you. All right. Spurs. They needed to play catch up, and they're doing it.
Yeah. They've already set a franchise record for the most three-pointers in a first half.
Wow.
And there's still a second half to go. When we come back, the Spurs are in Portland. Looks like they're putting a beating down on the Blazers. And the matchup between Michigan and Villanova is actually a San Antonio championship rematch. Coming up.
I think our fan base is excited, and they love being in this situation, and I think they're going to bring it tomorrow.
All right, the road to the Final Four goes through San Antonio again as the teams of the Sweet 16 hold their first and only workout at the AT&T Center today before the NCAA tournament resumes tomorrow in Big Board Sports. The The schedule favors the Spurs to catch up to the New Orleans Pelicans and put some distance against the Blazers in the race for the play-in tournament on this road trip. Spurs stumble a bit out of the gate, down 9-2, and they take off on a sprint. Devin Vassell with a three from the wing puts the Spurs up 12-9. Keldon Johnson from the corner has the Spurs on a 13-0 run. Vassell connects on one of his third three of the quarter. Spurs on a 25-4 run. Spurs up by 14, 27-13. DeJounte Murray closes the first quarter with three consecutive threes in the final 45 seconds. Spurs on a roll going into the second up 45-27. Josh Richardson cutting to the hoop, throwing down the reverse jam. Spurs up by 24 at the half, lead 81-53, a season high in points. Franchise high in three-pointers with 13. Here's the latest score just starting the third. They've increased that lead now 89-55. All right, for the first time since their arrival in town, all four teams participating in NCAA South Regional here in San Antonio hit the court today at the AT&T Center to get in one and only workout in the Alamo City before March Madness resumes tomorrow night. The first on the court this morning was 11-seeded Michigan Wolverines, who are coming off back-to-back upsets of 6-seeded Colorado State, number 3 seed Tennessee, to make it to their second consecutive Sweet 16 under head coach Juwan Howard. Wolverines also will have to play their best game yet of this tournament if they want that upset run to continue against number 2 Villanova. Remember, this is a rematch with the Wildcats or the Wolverines in San Antonio after Villanova won the national title in 2018 in the Alamo Dome with a 79-62 victory.
This is a big matchup for me to get the win back in the same place that we lost the national championship game in. But I'm not going to make it personal about myself, but it's about moving on to the next round. It just happens to be Villanova back in San Antonio.
Different situation, just same place, same team, entirely different team. But it's pretty cool to see how things lined up.
All right, second game of that doubleheader tomorrow night. The Spurs home will feature number 5 seed Houston going against number 1 seed Arizona. The Cougars have won 5 straight games and clinched their third straight appearance in the Sweet 16 with a win over Illinois. Arizona is on an 8-game win streak that included the overtime victory against TCU to get to the Alamo City and their first Sweet 16 appearance since 2017. Remember, the Cougars are coached by Kelvin Sampson, who had his career in 2008 revive when he was hired by the Spurs as an advisor after he's forced to resign from Indiana that same year due to NCAA violations. Not only is he back in the tournament, he's 2 wins away from the Final Four.
Once you're in the Spurs family, you're family for life. I mean, those are great friends, and I'm so appreciative of Pop for so many things. But when I went out in the court today, you think back to that time and what a great experience it was for me. So just really blessed.
All right, here is the matchups tomorrow for you. The first game's at 6:29, the second game at 8:59. In NIT action, the Texas Aggies of the Big Apple taking on Wake Forest at Madison Square Garden. Aggies in total control with plays like this. Quentin Jackson with a steal, taking it back for 2 of his team-high 12 points on the night. Aggies up 16. Wade Taylor, the 4th, puts the Aggies up 18 with this 3. He also poured in a dozen for the Aggies as they win by 15, 67-52 to punch their ticket to the NIT semifinals for the first time in school history. UTSA's Pro Day next. The UTSA Roadrunners held a pro day on campus to showcase 15 of their student athletes to NFL scouts and general managers. And get this, 30 of the 32 NFL teams were represented, including the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans in the form of their general manager, Nick Caserio. This is a chance for players who were not invited to the NFL Combine, like Spencer Burford, Sincere McCormick, and Tariq Woolen, who did get that chance. Now the others have their chance to show off their skills.
I'm just glad we get the exposure at the end of the day. Having all 32 NFL teams here, it just gives everyone a fair shot, gives everybody a fair chance just to be put in front of these teams. Sometimes guys may have not been invited somewhere. Some did, some didn't.
Some scouts that probably don't have you on their radar at all. They'll be like, hold on, who is that? What I'm saying? Then they look at, my film, be like, oh, it matches his film. And I just feel like that's going to, better me.
It's always a blessing, and then just coming here today and showcase that I improved from Senior Bowl to Combine to now, it's just a great feeling, so I feel great with what I did today.
Yeah, he's a projected second rounder of the NFL draft. The Texans' Nick Caserio was here looking at him because they have the top 5 picks in the top 80. I mean, that's just crazy number of picks they have. So good luck to all those kids.
I just thought it was cool that today the Roadrunners were turf runners.
Nice.
That was a cool thing.
We're back in 2 minutes.
Chilly start tomorrow. Have the jacket ready, but short sleeves are fine by the afternoon. 40 at 7 a.m., then by the noon hour, we're in the mid-60s, then high temperatures later on in the day, well into the 70s. Livonia 77, even Bernie about 73. Then we're mid-80s Friday through the weekend. Only a 20% chance of a few storms by Tuesday.
So layer up tomorrow, basically. All right, thank you.
That does it for the Night Beat. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good night.